Hi everybody, Tim here with today's movie review for Star Trek. We have Insurrection. Now, Insurrection gets a lot of hate. A lot of people just kind of have an issue with it. And for me, I don't think it's the best Star Trek movie, but I definitely don't think it's the worst. What my problem with it is, so if you look at the Next Generation movies specifically, first we had Generations, which was a great movie, and it was a tie, it basically said goodbye to the original series and hello to the next generation. And so it made sense. And then we had First Contact, was a great movie. It was basically finally the first time we saw the Borg in a way that we've always wanted to, with that big budget. And it also kind of tied up all the loose ends that we had with the feelings of Picard from Best of Both Worlds. So that movie just made perfect sense. This one had none of that. It basically, to be completely honest, it's almost just like a 3-part episode because it's 2 hours long. So it's like a 3-part episode. Like, you could have just taken this whole movie and put it into the TV show, and you wouldn't have thought anything different of it. It didn't tie up loose ends. It didn't really have a lot of references. Like, it's just a movie. And to even kind of take that one step further, it's almost a combination of 2 episodes of the First Contact episode where there's the holographic duck blind, and the Homeworld episode where Worf's brother is trying to like beam these people on board and move them with a holodeck and them not knowing. So, I mean, it is a good movie though. So I'm going to kind of just go down my notes real quick, but that's why I'm not going to do this one live, is I don't have a ton of notes. It's because just a good movie. It's beautifully shot because Jonathan Frakes is a great director, but it's just something about the story. I didn't find it super engaging as much as I had wanted it to. So first off, the movie starts with Michael Welch as Artem. He's the little boy. He's pretty famous now as an adult. Some of you might know him from Twilight, Joan of Arcadia. He was in a couple episodes of Stargate, but he's a good actor. And then so on his little planet, there's a holographic duck blind. Like I said, we saw that in First Contact, where the Federation likes to view people without them knowing, which is kind of creepy, but I guess it makes sense. This takes it a little bit of a step further, where they also have like these suits that make them invisible, and Data has been injured. You see like a scar on a scratch on his neck. You can see the wiring and stuff. And he's malfunctioning, and he reveals to this population that they're being viewed. So from here, Picard's doing his normal stuff, and he's like basically meeting some ambassadors. And there's the funny line of like, "Oh, do you remember when we used to explore the galaxy?" Worf is on board because he's an ambassador and stuff, which is interesting because this episode takes place during season 7, specifically episode 10 of season 7 of Deep Space Nine. And when I get to the series, I'll bring this up then too. It's Worf's not in that episode because that's when this takes place. So they're starting to talk about like, oh, well, why are we meeting all these people? Like the diplomats that they're meeting like just discovered warp drive last year. And Picard says, like, I mean, with what we've been engaging the Borg and the Dominion, like, we need the Allies. So I thought that was kind of cool that they gave a shout out to the Dominion War from Deep Space Nine. We see F. Murray Abraham as Rafu. I don't know how you say it. He's a great actor, like from like Amadeus and stuff. Perfect actor. And it was kind of interesting to see him in this role. And it's kind of funny because like 3 weeks ago, he was in Orville. So it's just interesting to watch him pop up. So we realized that there's this population on the planet is only about 600 people, and they're trying to move them without them knowing. And there's some great lines on like how many people does it make wrong and how many doesn't. And as we're on the planet and we're kind of watching this population and seeing how some things just aren't quite right, we see Riker and Troy start their romance up again, where she's like playing with his neck and he's like, "What are you doing?" Which I thought was kind of interesting because, like I said, when I did All Good Things, like they just basically stopped the Worf and Troy romance without any reference or anything to it. So, which was disappointing. But seeing Riker and Troy, they have such good chemistry together that it kind of makes sense. And then there's a scene that was a little bit frustrating to me. It's kind of, they played it off funny, and I don't know how true this is, but so Worf is in bed and they wake him up, and Picard's like, I don't know how they do things on Deep Space Nine, but we report to duty on time. And Worf like wakes up, and supposedly they had wanted to put in a scene. I'm not going to spoil it because I'll get to Deep Space Nine pretty like after Nemesis. But evidently Worf was having a nightmare of the things that happened towards the end of season 6. So some of you probably know what I'm talking about. And there was actually supposed to be some stuff in there to show what Worf had been doing and why he was having a nightmare. But they just kind of cut it out because they didn't want to confuse the fans that don't watch Deep Space Nine. Personally, I think they should have left it. I love all the Deep Space Nine references. Like in First Contact, Sisko was supposed to make a cameo appearance, but they cut that out for whatever reason. So, but whatever. So we see the new shuttlecraft, which is just bitchin'. Like it's great design. But again, that's like, I love seeing Star Trek, like I love the Next Generation TV show, but seeing it with this big budget and the way they can do things, they did it great. Classic Data singing musical songs. They do the Gilbert and Sullivan HMS Pinafore. Of course, Patrick Stewart's a great singer, and they have some great lines in there. As a kid, I loved this movie for scenes like that, where he's like, sing, Worf, sing, and Worf's like, no. Seeing the kids play hacky sack, because I was that kid as well. The number one thing that annoys me, and as if you guys have been watching my episode reviews of The Next Generation, Riker kisses Deanna, and she says yuck, because she's never kissed him with a beard before. And it's a great scene, and it's really cute and funny, where he's like, I kiss you and you say yuck. And I mean, they kissed, I lost track, it was like 7 times during the course of the series. So that line's gonna forever bother me, just for continuity. Again, some funny lines where Data finally wakes up and he's like, I seem to be missing memory files, and Geordi holds him out and Data's like, never mind, there they are. So stuff like that. One of the one scenes that kind of scared me as a kid, not like scare, but like whatever, is Troy and Riker in the bath and her shaving him, because I like Riker with a beard. I think it just fits his character. And then, I mean, we haven't seen him smooth face since season 1, so him like smooth as an android's bottom, it just kind of bothered me. I just like, oh, I don't like it, but whatever. We still see some of the crew, and I think that kind of goes back to the crew de-aging, because we don't really know it yet, but everybody's kind of regressing a little bit. So like Worf gets a gorch, or it's a pimple, and this is when we finally realize that these people have been on this planet for 309 years, and it's metaphasic radiation regenerating their cells and stuff. And at Picard it says, oh, well, that's worth more than gold pressed latinum. It's like, okay, I get the Deep Space Nine gold pressed latinum, that's kind of cool, but like, yeah, I'd say living for hundreds of years is worth more than gold. I don't know, I just felt like that was unnecessary. We see Geordi's eyes regenerate, so I think this is the second time we've actually seen him, like, not without the visor, not without the contacts, just pure LeVar Burton eyes. It was the one time where he was actually the probe, and then this one, I think. They talk about the Prime Directive and how it doesn't apply because the Bokus aren't even, or however you say that species, are not even from this planet, and that's where the stuff, where how many people does it become wrong? Is it 600? Is it 5,000? Is it 1,000,000? And Picard just gets sick of the shit, and he takes the pips off and he puts them down, and that's where you're like, oh, Picard's not happy. We finally see the captain's yacht, which is something we've heard of before but never seen it, and it's beautiful. I love that scene so much. One of the scenes that also kind of bothered me was when the female love interest for Picard starts slowing down time. Like at one point we see a hummingbird, and like they couldn't have picked something to at least make it look more alien, because why is there a hummingbird on this planet? I just thought it was weird. As an immature child, when I first watched this, have you noticed how your boobs have begun to firm up? Not that we care about things in this day and age, but whatever. And then what I really liked about this was kind of I guess it's a twist ending, not so much, with the reset the shield harmonics and then they beam them out without them knowing, and they basically use their own plan against them. They mentioned, like, if this works, it'll be the Riker maneuver. I mean, Picard has his own maneuver in 2 ways. It's when he was on the Stargazer with the warp, and then the thrusting of the shirt. And then I just thought it was funny that Picard mentions how he has 318 days of shore leave. I was like, damn. Like, as somebody who gets paid vacation, I only get X amount of days in a year, and if I don't use it, it goes away. So evidently Starfleet, you just rack it up forever. But yeah, so overall, I thought this was a good movie. I think it has great acting. The directing is phenomenal. Like, and I think it's funny how, so Spock was the commander, and Leonard Nimoy directed 2 movies back to back, and then Riker's a commander, and now he's directed 2 movies back to back. So I thought that was kind of funny. And like, Jonathan Frakes is such a good director. Like, he's probably one of my favorite directors, to be honest. But I don't know, I feel like just the story, it was just missing something. So what did you guys think about this movie? What did you guys like about it? What did you not like about it? Did you think it was a good movie? Did you think it was missing something? Maybe you can articulate what it's missing better than I can, because I've been awake for way too long at this point. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for watching my movie reviews at this point, and I will see you guys next time for the final Next Generation movie, Nemesis.